Shabbat Shalom. It's a real honor to be speaking with all of you for this Pride Shabbat. I had the privilege of representing Beth Torah at Toronto's downtown Pride Shabbat celebration last year. But this year, I'm especially grateful to be sharing these reflections with my own Beth Torah community from this bima. And I want to offer gratitude to my amazing clergy partner, Rav Jen, as well as my amazing colleagues, Sarah, somewhere there, and Kim, for encouraging me to offer up a Devar Torah today during Pride Month. As we find ourselves in Pride Month, I've been reflecting on a simple question. What are we celebrating? And what are we still working toward? These questions feel especially relevant this year. On one hand, there's so much to celebrate. On the other hand, Pride has never been only about celebration. It has also been about visibility, belonging, and the ongoing work of creating communities where people can bring their full selves. As I was thinking about these questions, I found myself drawn to a remarkable moment in this week's Torah portion, Korach. Korach's rebellion threatens the unity of the Israelite community. Tensions rise. God becomes angry and threatens to destroy the entire assembly. But at that moment, Moses and Aaron fall on their faces and they pray. They don't simply invoke one of the more familiar names of God. Instead, they address God with a striking and unusual name, El Elohei Haruchot Lechol Basar, God of the spirits of all flesh. Rashi asks why God is called by this special name, the God of the spirits of all flesh, rather than simply the God of all flesh. In the Midrash, Rashi imagines Moses saying to God, Ribono shel olam, galui lefanecha, da'ato shel kol echad ve'echad, ve'einan domin zeh lezeh. Master of the universe, you know the spirit of every person, and no two are alike. At a moment when an entire community risks being judged as one undifferentiated mass, Moses invokes a God who sees individuals rather than categories. And perhaps that is one of the central lessons of Pride as well. Progress begins when we stop seeing categories and we start seeing human beings. The story of LGBTQ inclusion in Jewish life is in many ways the story of that transformation. Many of us remember a very, very different Jewish world. For much of Jewish history, LGBTQ Jews were often invisible within Jewish leadership. Many young people grew up without seeing openly LGBTQ rabbis and cantors and teachers and role models. I certainly did not. When I was growing up and attending chat, I didn't have the blessing of learning Torah from a gay rabbi or a gay Jewish educator. When I entered the Jewish Theological Seminary in New York City, I was only the second openly gay student in the institution's history, the second openly gay cantorial student in the institution's history. Today, I stand before you as an openly gay cantor serving a conservative congregation, something that would have been really difficult for many of us to remember, to imagine a generation ago. But that change did not happen by accident. It happened because individuals and communities came to know one another's stories. As hearts opened, policies shifted, doors opened, and new possibilities emerged. When we truly know people's stories, categories begin to fall away. One of the communities that shaped me deeply in this journey was Congregation Beit Simchat Torah in New York, where I served for 4 years as the cantor and clergy. Beit Simchat Torah began in 1973, when a small group of gay Jews gathered for a Passover Seder and they discovered something profound. They did not have to choose between being proudly Jewish and being proudly gay. What began as a small gathering grew into a vibrant community of more than 900 member households, embracing LGBTQ individuals and families and allies. When I arrived at Beit Simchat Torah, New York, I expected to learn about LGBTQ Jewish life, but what I learned instead was much broader. Spiritual life deepens when people do not have to compartmentalize themselves, and communities become stronger when people can bring their whole selves. Those lessons continue to shape how I understand my role here at Beth Torah. Most days, I am simply your chazan, teaching, leading davening, and alongside Rev Jen, walking with congregants through life's joys and life's sorrows. Yet, I am also aware that my presence here reflects a broader story of change in Jewish life. When I first began serving as chazan here more than 2 years ago, I never wondered whether I would be accepted as an openly gay chazan. That confidence was made possible by generations of congregants and leaders here who helped shape Beth Torah into a community committed to inclusion. Long before these conversations became commonplace in conservative shuls here in Toronto, Beth Torah was among the first conservative synagogues to celebrate same-sex Jewish weddings, to openly welcome LGBTQ individuals and families, and to create an all-gender washroom. In their own way, these decisions reflected a simple but profound belief that every person deserves to be seen, honored, and welcomed into Jewish life. Over the past 2 years, many congregants here have shared their own stories with me, stories about their experiences in the LGBTQ community, stories about their children, grandchildren, siblings, and loved ones. Those conversations have reminded me that this topic is never abstract. It is about people we know and we love. Pride Shabbat is not ultimately about me. I know that I belong here. The larger question is, who else may still be wondering whether they belong? Who may still be waiting to hear that there is a place for them in Jewish life, not merely as guests, but as full members of our community? Because there is a big difference between being welcomed and truly belonging. Welcome says, you may enter. Belonging says, we need you here. Welcome says, there is room for you. Belonging says, you help shape who we are. The idea lies at the heart of Judaism. We are taught that every human being is created b'tselem Elohim, in the image of God. And if God is truly Elohei haruchot lechol basar, like in our Torah portion, the God of the spirits of all flesh, then every person reflects a unique facet of the divine image. A holy community is not one in which everyone is the same. It is one in which every person knows that their spirit matters. Pride Month reminds us that the work is never complete. In every congregation, there are people who quietly wonder, will I be accepted? Will I matter here? The details may differ, whether because of sexual orientation, gender identity, family background, disability, race, or life experiences, but the question is often the same: do I belong? So as you know, I recently attended the annual convention of conservative chazanim in Pittsburgh a couple of weeks ago. One afternoon, at lunchtime, I joined a gathering of other LGBTQ cantors and allies. And as we shared our experiences, what moved me most was not only the diversity of stories in the room, but the presence of colleagues who were there because of love, supporting gay, queer, trans family members and friends. It reminded me that belonging is not only about ourselves, it is about our willingness to see one another, to honor one another's humanity, and to recognize that every person carries a unique spirit. So what does it mean for us today? It means belonging is something that we actively create. Perhaps one simple challenge for all of us this week is this: to sit with someone at Kiddush whom you don't normally sit with. Ask about their story. Ask how they came to Beth Torah. Ask what Jewish life means to them. Because every such conversation is an encounter with someone created B'Tselem Elohim. As our Torah portion unfolds, Moses reminds us, God, you are the God of the spirits of all flesh, the God who knows every story and sees every soul. Pride Month calls us to do the same. Perhaps the measure of a congregation is not how many people walk through our doors, but how many people no longer have to wonder whether they belong once they are here. My hope, our collective hope, is that Beth Torah continues to be that kind of community, a community where every person knows they are seen, valued, and needed, a community where every spirit matters, a community where people can bring their whole selves through our doors. For we pray to Elohei HaRuchot, the God who knows every spirit. Our sacred task is to build a community that sees every spirit, honors every spirit, and helps every person know they belong. Shabbat Shalom.